Bino. Zeke Black is in the building. Zeke Black is in the building. Um, Yesterday, I watched part one of the Supreme Team Doccu series from Nas. It was very well put together and it was very well versed. Um, it was a history lesson for those that didn't understand what was going on in those times in New York City, probably even the United States of America. Was popping. It was very educational. You know, those times is different. So now we're getting this. So now we understand top of the top. So now we understand where because we hear from Prince and them. We have to speak for our city. Now I like the fact, I don't know how Nas pulled this off, but he got these guys to speak about history. Jamal Saladin, salute. History. Now we know why what migrated Prince to the streets. He said they killed a young boy that was like 10 years old, and that sort of pushed them twoosh. You know what I'm saying? It was a different time in New York City. A very different time. Saladin's in the building. Salute, top of the morning. Top of the morning to 718. Jamal Griffiths, top of the morning. S4, top of the morning. Grown Man Talk, top of the morning. So it touched on some things that we speak upon. Now, I'm happy that Mayor pulled up in the Doccu series. You know, the 7 Crowns. Look what came from the 7 Crowns. The Furtado brothers, Fat Cat Nichols, the mayor of New York City. These guys was all 7 Crowns. So, needless to say, the gangs of that era had a more CEO state of mind as they got older. Because look at the positions that these guys played once they hit their 20s and 30s. You had the guards. What I liked about the Doccu series was one of the main points was they had Green Eye Born up there. Now, you know, you may have heard of books and newspapers and certain videos that Preem and Born were going through it, had the issues, but that was real to see Green Eye Born in the documentary. They're speaking about their time because these guys got to speak for their history. Because people create these narratives. I'm gonna tell you something, man. Being a teenager in New York City, the rappers did want to be like the hustlers because that's what the rappers was rapping about. You know what I'm saying? If you rapped about what was going on in the streets at that point in time, a guy that's talking about corners and flipping bricks is not jumping on stage wearing a blouse and tight leather pants. That wasn't the end thing no more. The Planet Rock era was over. You're talking about the streets, the corners. The guys are wearing Timberland truckers. They're not wearing 3-piece. The dudes are not wearing 3-piece suits in lobbies. Hip hop in the streets was all one. The rapper wanted to be like the hustler. And what I liked was when Nas had LL Cool J up there. And he showed LL Cool J at Prince Party. And he was on stage with the rappers with Prince Party, and LL Cool J was in the crowd. You know what I'm saying? This is my early stage LL Cool J. So it goes to show you the streets with hip hop. That's a fact. The rappers started to want to be like the streets. It wasn't just about hip hop. That era of hip hop was gone. Dudes was rapping about what they see. Bad Habits was popping. Cause that's what we seen. Remember, I grew up under LL Cool J's generation. We seen the hustlers, the older hustlers. We want to mimic them. Even if we wasn't rapping, we want to dress like them. We want to talk like them. We want to walk like them. That's the position that we took as little young cats. told you that era of jerry curls and blouses looking like Prince on stage, that era of hip hop was gone because dudes began to rap more about their environment, what they're around, what they're looking at. What was very interesting that Robo Justice in the family tree of the Supreme Team. Rest in peace, Just. A lot of people just know Robo Justice be the super blood cat, but he's actually a part of the Supreme Team family tree. You know what I'm saying? And that was interesting. But being in South Jamaica, Queens, I always see his brother. His brother has ties to something to Baisley. Every time I see his brother goes between Baisley and Boom. That shows a lot of power. When you go from one section to another section, that's a lot of power. Shout out to Uncle Wop, you heard? From the Brits. You know, that just brought back, you know, I was just being younger, and these guys is talking about how they transform in the streets and how, and I'm like, damn, it was like that in Manhattan. It was just different. These guys was just out of Queens. Yes, and that, and you couldn't do it without the mayor, because the mayor was a part of that. He came from the forefathers of that generation of Queens, the Seven Crowns. The Furtado brothers came from, yeah, you know what I'm saying? They came from the Seven Crowns. Tartar brothers, Seven Crowns. Fat Cat Nick was the Seven Crowns. But one thing I definitely like the work that they did is definitely Uncle Charlie Rocks in the building was popping. Shout out to Southside Queens, Uncle Charlie Rocks in the building. You know, he grew up with them. That's where he's from. 118 Sutton Boulevard. You heard? He up early for this. You know what I'm saying? One thing I'm gonna say is I liked it was well versed. Now we get it. Supreme and Fat Cat was on the same block at one point in time, on 150th. You know what I'm saying? They dealt with the same connect. Well versed. So now it makes sense why it was all peace, because it's business. Listen, I mess with them. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But it was like two different crews. Well versed, because we're allowing people that's not from our states and cities to speak upon our culture. Because a lot of dudes like, man, I'm not going on these platforms to talk except the police. But you're allowing dudes to create these narratives, and then they act like they know and they in the know. They're not in the know. They're not in the know. You know what I'm saying? They're not in the know. How could somebody sit here and say, yo, the streets and the hip hop is two different things? When the rappers was going to the clubs where the hustlers was at. You know what I'm saying? When you bought a Troop jacket, you ain't buy it because LL had it. You bought it because when you went to Jamaica Avenue, you seen the Queen and Prince with Troop jackets on. Yo, I'm gonna get that. Those was Bible moments in the hood. You didn't buy a chain because Slick Rick had a chain. You bought your first chain because your neighborhood guy had a chain on. That meant a lot to have gazelles and the sheepskin. Your favorite rapper wasn't wearing that. It was your local hustler. So yes, they did have an impact on the culture, a major impact on the culture. And just watching this, is just like, yo. They even had the cop, the Corey who became a cop. He became like a top cop, like a chief or something, or a captain somewhere. They even had Corey up there, the cop. It had to be well versed, because we're allowing individuals to put together this content about our culture that's not from us. And then they're putting the remixes and spins and what they think. No, it's not what you think, bro. It's not what you think. You don't understand our culture, bro. Somebody sits there and goes, yo, I understand how a kid comes from a middle income home will hustle for, that's backwards. What country you from? What moon are you from? Do you know what it was like to be an African American in the late 70s, early 80s in New York City? I don't care how much money your parents had. Do you understand that what it was like to be an African American in New York City in the 70s and the 80s? Just because your father worked at Ford, just because your father worked at Ford, or he worked at GE, didn't stop the police from busting you over the head if he felt he disrespected him. Remember that. Just because your mother worked at IBM, that didn't stop the police from shooting you in the back too much you got a gun. They grew up in an older era. They grew up with the King assassination, Malcolm X assassination. They grew up in a different time. The people against the police. We have to get this back, party people. Because what's happening is people are speaking on our culture. You don't understand our culture. Most of the most notorious gangsters in New York come from good homes. To be honest with you, most of the names y'all be spitting out, yo, such and such and such and such, they came from good homes. Most of these super gangsters that you dudes wake up in the morning and be like, yeah, son, da-da-da. Those are, they got mansions in St. Augustine, Queens, or Linden Boulevard. When you go on Linden Boulevard, when you're going towards the south side, there's mansions on the little side blocks. Mansions. St. Augustine, Queens. You go up to Long Island Railroad. Right by that little funeral home. Shout out to Queens, man. South Jamaica, Queens, and even Hollis and all that together is the biggest African American community of homeowners. Yo, that is so we keep talking about Harlem, let's talk about Queens. The biggest African American community of homeowners are in these zip codes: Cambria Heights, South Jamaica, Northside Queens. Why we don't speak upon that? This is history. This is something to be proud of. There is a black Wakanda in America, but with the light that they show on South Jamaica, Queens is drugs and mayhem. They killed the cop and the game changed. They don't speak about at one point in time that was a middle and a high income neighborhood. But we're gonna talk about Howard Beach all day. Let's talk about Bensonhurst. Let's talk about Dyker Heights. Let's talk about Bayside, Queens. Let's talk about Bayside, Queens. Exactly. Let's not talk about the reality of that's a little African American pride. What I come from in America, one of the biggest lands of massive land where African Americans are homeowners. You don't think that's nothing to be proud of? Eddie Murphy's grandmother lived on the south side. You know what I'm saying? Eddie Murphy, the comedian, grandmother lived on the south side, South Jamaica, Queens. Our great mayor lived in South Jamaica, Queens. This is what he had to say. Newspaper article, New York Post. Boom. Mayor Adams has so many angles on the notorious crack dealing Queens gang supreme team. That generation, can we get there? You saw street corner CEOs popping all over our city, says Adams of the 80s crack epidemic in a 3-part docu-series which premieres on Friday. I seen it last night. It's dope. Yo, you gotta see it. Because he showed LL Cool J. This is dope. This is dope. That's Eric Adams speaking to the Post. Yo, it's so dope. Yo. LL Cool J was at a party, Prince's birthday party. Who else was at Prince's birthday party? I never knew LL Cool J was there. LL Cool J didn't remember he was there. They showed me, that's you at the party. Oh, I didn't even know I was there. You know who was also at that party? Gangsta Lou. Gangsta Lou was at that same party. So for all these years, we speak about these connections and how is he cool with Uptown and yo LL with the streets, because hip hop in the streets is all of the same. So when LL Cool J was going gold and single, you had relationships with Black Just already. You had relationships with Gangsta Lou already, because you already knew Gangsta Lou because you met him at a couple of events that he was coming to Queens. You knew these dudes. A lot of dudes take a lot of things from Gangsta Lou. He was at that same party. These guys was young CEOs in the making. Young CEOs. The city was going through a recession in them 80s. Have y'all forgot that? The economics was changing. But the party didn't stop. The disco era didn't stop. The party didn't stop. Then you have this new thing called rock, Ready Rock. And it pops. And it takes it to the moon. Peace, Father, Allah, Father. Yo, definitely Fly Mike, I gotta call you Fly Mike, double law. Exactly, says Rich Porter, Harlem stand up. Then you got a group of guys from a place called South Jamaica, Queens. They put something together. And it worked. Young CEOs. These guys was young CEOs. They ran their operations as like companies. And they caught something from the beginning. And you know and I know, when you catch something from the beginning, you get all the money. So it's not like you get a little bit of money. They caught something from the beginning. They caught something when Smoking the Ready Rock was still cool. You was still cool. That's before the TVs was flying out the door. When dudes would put their little twos and fews together and get high all week. And salute to all the wolves that's up. Salute to the wolves is up. We never sleep. Wolves never sleep. The wolves is up, man. Not like when they always speak and somebody's bring the wolves up, because that's what the streets was. Wolves. There was a bunch of wolves. Definitely shout out that documentary when they said, yeah, son, the wolves. He wasn't talking about me. They just know the cloth, the wolves. Everybody want to be a boss, but a real boss, you don't get it. We didn't want to mimic sneakers, and dudes want to buy houses and mansions. You see what property these dudes is buying? This is serious. This is New York culture we're speaking about. And it feels good to be somebody from New York who can speak upon this culture. Y'all don't get tired of out-of-towners talking about our culture, and they put themselves in the mix and they interview all the wrong people, and then, yo, son, and this is what I think it is. What you mean what you think it is? It's simple. You couldn't wear sheepskin and some gazelles unless you knew how to fight. It was simple. That's how New York was. That's what four dudes was really getting money. It was simple. You couldn't wear a pair of shell-toe Adidas and Deuce with a sheepskin and some glasses, because a bunch of Brooklyn wolves, the Brooklyn wolves, Brooklyn wolves see things that we can't see. Dudes from Brooklyn got like bionic eyes. I tell you, they got the Superman eyes. They see the chain that we, you know what I'm saying? Wax PT was popping. They see what's in your pocket before you know what's in your pocket. That's the Brooklyn wolves. They hit, boom, start digging pockets. Might put you in the dolphin or something. That's the Brooklyn wolves. Manhattan wolves is laughing, smiling, they want to hug you, yo, son. You know what I'm saying? See, every wolf is different. The one thing about the Queens wolves is we always looked at Queens from Queensbridge, but Queensbridge is right by the water to Manhattan. So Queensbridge is like us, outsiders. You have to physically go to Jamaica, Queens. You physically have to go to the south side of Jamaica. Train, Van Wyck, you physically have to go to Queens. You physically have to go to those outer areas. Them outer areas, they was running their businesses. Who destroyed the run? An outsider. Pappy Mason ain't from Queens, he's from Brooklyn. An outsider destroyed that. Wax AP was popping. Wax AP in the building. Pappy ain't from Queens. He's from Brooklyn. Those decisions, that decision he made was stupid. The mob, I remember one time, I think it was 1988 or 89, when an Italian guy had killed an FBI agent on the highway. They murdered that man. Now Nas did the documentary. You heard him on? He did he did a 3-part documentary on the Supreme team, but he's being well versed about it. What led, because part 1 is basically what was the streets like and what led into a lot of these decisions they made that made them come to the street. Prince said, because he's calling speaking, he said, yo, what made me come to the streets was a kid that was like 10 years old, he died. Cop killed the kid. And that just made him look at, yo, I'm going to the streets. Like that was one of the decisions he made. I'm going to tell you what's crazy, Marlon. They had a stash house that was 2 blocks from the federal prosecutor that took down, I think, Nicky Barnes and Frank Lucas, this black guy with a stick all day. I remember him, because they had a hit on him. They had a stash house that was 2 blocks from him, bro. I think they kicked his doors in. You got to see this documentary. They was like, yo, we didn't know that the judge, he wasn't a judge. He's a judge now, federal judge. But back then, he was a federal prosecutor, African-American fat guy. He's in the documentary. You know what I'm saying? They stash house was 2 blocks from his crib. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so they say he was talking like, yo, it's crazy. I lived over, I think he lived in Cambria Heights. And they like 2 blocks from him, bro. This is crazy. That's how, mind you, these dudes is like 1920 operating like a Fortune 500 position. Now, I'm going to tell you this, man. They put a picture of Glaze in the joint. They showed Fat Cat crew. They showed the crews, Fat Cat and the Bull. It was a picture of Fat and Cat. They had a lot of pictures they posted off of IG, or people may have gave them. With salute to Hassan Farrock, Living Lifestyle 100. I think they took his picture. Tell them Blanco sent you. The guys that would post a lot of pictures, the ones that I know about. There might be many more, but those are the ones I see. They post a lot of pictures, and a lot of the pictures that I seen was the ones that these guys was posting. So salute to them for keeping our culture moving forward. Because you can't talk about hip-hop and talk about, and not say the streets. Like I told you, you couldn't speak about, I'm on the block shooting lobbies up, and you got a blouse on with some tight leather pants and some high heels. That doesn't mix. That's a mixy message. You know what I'm saying? Just shout out to Glaze for that. See, Glaze, they didn't have to talk about you. They put you in it. You're a part of history, no matter if people like it or not. You're a part of history, dogs. You're a part of history. You know what I'm saying? You're a part of that Fat Cat Eugene history. You know what I'm saying? And that's what dudes gotta realize. Take this, be a little patient. They put you in a documentary. Millions are gonna see this and go, yo, that's Glaze. They didn't have to do that. They relax, man. One thing I did learn last night was that Black Just was a part of the playing team. Not Black Just, Robo Just. Because all you hear about Robo Just is the blood, Eastside, GKB. You never hear about the money part of him, that he came from the bag. But I'm pretty sure there's dudes that knew he came from the bag. They had him on the family tree. I was like, yo, that's dope. That's crazy. That's a conversation. So, you know what I'm saying? So no wonder when he came home, it was so easy for him to get money the last time. No, rest in peace to the homie. You know what I'm saying? He came from revolutionary times. Think about when the Guards was created, when the Guards was building. I like they had Sea Guard, CLR in there. I guess one of the great buildings that was dope. They had the OGs in this documentary. They had one of the top. I'm like, yo, this you can't get no more real than that. They had the guy who Supreme. I'm gonna tell you how real it is. This is what I mean about respect. When you respect the cloth, when you respect what's going on, bro. Supreme said, my enlightened name was Supreme. And then they showed this is why I be the way I am. So the guy who enlightened Supreme had to been that type of guy. Had to been that dude. The guy, his enlightener, the guy who sat down with him and gave him his lessons is his enlightener. Because he said, yo, the guy who enlightened me, his name was Supreme. And he took off with it. So these guys is different, bro. They came from a different time, a different conversation. The black man, the black man then wasn't the black man now. The rights wasn't a certain way. I don't care how much of a middle income home you came from, things wasn't the same. You can't have somebody who's in the house for 50 years and you ask them any question about the streets. That's questionable activities, man. How can you do that? Why was LL Cool J at Prince party for? Why would LL Cool J go to Prince party? You know what I'm saying? Because these are the dudes. Yeah. We're talking about the cloth, man. Nas did a great job on the cloth. And the greatest part about it was he had the people speak. We ain't see Seaguard or see a Lark come out of nowhere. The old guard, he kicking ballistics, boom, 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 boom. Now I'm looking at what the guards is like back then. These dudes are like the firstborns of the 5% nation in New York City. The firstborns, peace to the guards and earths. This is serious, man. This is a generation of dudes that came with the Rakim, Poor Righteous Teachers, Sadat X, Lord Jamal, Unique, Mecca Audio, the guards. So it goes to show that in their rallies, it just wasn't about sticking up and oppressing your communities, because most of those guys wind up becoming CEOs in their own worlds. Great job, Nas, on some G shit. Because this ain't about, because what happens now is, like, I read around the world and I interviewed him. There's nothing like hearing it from the cloth. Prince said why he went to the streets. He said in the doc, he said on the phone call, he said, yo, I went to the streets, but because, boom, he said it. Me and Preem grew up like brothers. I never knew that Preem and Prince was co-defendants. Before, back in the days, that was my first co-defendant. So Preem and Prince was more like brothers growing up. They was like brothers. You know what I'm saying? Peace is it? Father you says, peace to my enlightenment, my firstborn. Because we're talking about New York City history, man. Nas put it together. He even had the leader of the Seven Crowns, the leader of Eric Adams, the Furtado brothers, Fat Cat, the leader, the man himself. They had him on the show. Do you know how powerful that man is, man? Do y'all understand how powerful that man is? The Seven Crowns guy. I don't care how much dope he sniffed, how much coke he sniffed. Do you know how powerful that man is when he could go, yo, I'm gonna call the mayor right now. Boom. Yo, I need y'all to do a cookout. Boom. That's power. This man was the leader of these guys. And I'm saying this firsthand because my friend, a good friend of mine, no matter how old he gets, he's the leader of his crew. The leader of his crew, no matter how old these dudes are, when he call, they come. When he goes somewhere, they go somewhere. Yo, son, he had one dude, you know what I'm saying? This is, you know what I'm saying? This is real time. The leaders remain the leaders. And they cliques. Every clique has a leader. You know what I'm saying? And just saying that shit a leader. Rest in peace, Pee Wee. 118, Sufton, you heard? You know what I'm saying? But there's a new wave of wolves growing up. He had to break down the essence. He went to the essence. He went to memory lane. We you know, we the people, man. We the people, man. And you know, understanding that these guys, when they got to the bag was for real. Yo, it was so well versed, right? Because we listened to everybody else had to say. You read Cop Shot, you read all these books. Nobody never said the way he said yesterday. Yo, we was on one side of 150 and Fat Cat was on the other side. What we had in common was the same connect at that time. You know what I'm saying? The only thing we had in common was we had the same connect. You know what I'm saying? We was cool. We had the same connect. So there wasn't no, yo, I had to sit down with 20 of y'all and I had to break it down to y'all how we gonna move around here and such and such. It wasn't really so much that. It was so much you got to, it happens like that in East Harlem. How you think Tone Lopez, Elliot, rest in peace, Tone Lopez. How you think these guys had $1 million spots 2 blocks from each other and there wasn't no wars? There was never a war with Hill Hole and Carver Mob, or Hill Hole, Carver Mob, and niggas the Puerto Ricans that was in Washington Projects. How? You think because they Boricua? They eat Benin? No, it's because most of them have the same plugs. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I heard about the session crew. You know what I'm saying? Feed the wolves. The wolves is up, man. Feed the wolves. The wolves are up. This is one for the mind. What keep peace is the connect. The connect controls the chessboard. The connect. Yo, son, so you tell your truth. Don't go over there with no work, don't volley. Don't go over there, no work, no volley. Don't go. And some dudes that did cross the line, the independence, things happen. That's what comes with the rules of engagement of the streets. I know you hate hearing this when I say it, but it's the truth. You know what I'm saying? If you have no power on your block, you can live on your block all your life, and you think you're gonna come outside and just open up, there's consequences to that. If somebody love you, yo, son, come on, be my man, or you can't click out here. If they don't love you, yo, son, I see you out here tomorrow night, things are gonna happen. If you go outside, something's gonna happen to you. That's just how the rules of the streets go. Y'all keep saying, the streets ain't got no rules. Y'all keep listening to the internet. Y'all keep listening to the internet and keep thinking the streets ain't got no rules. Because I see these young boys spinning blocks. The rules, the streets still got a small connection to the, you know what I'm saying, to the streets. Now, getting back into the Preem team, for what I know about the Preem team, it was it was crazy because in Harlem, I never seen a person have 12 spots. Where I was at. The man probably had 12 spots was probably the plug that was hitting certain blocks. Dudes might have had 2 or 3 blocks. But they see that when you went to South Jamaica, they had their own world. See, when you spoke about South Jamaica, Queens back then, you spoke about going to Coliseum, going to Gertz, going to see Shirt Kings. A lot of dudes was going to Hollis, Queens just because they wanted to see where Run DMC was from, or LL Cool J on Farmers. A lot of dudes didn't realize there's drugs everywhere, but these dudes ran a Fortune 500 company between Sufton, Baisley, and Sufton, Fox, Baisley, Rock. They ran a Fortune 500 company. Of course things happen. Of course people got hurt. Woody Low Chronicles in the building, of course. This is what comes with it. This is what I remember. I remember when I seen a Word Up magazine, we seen people with Shirt Kings, dudes that go to the Coliseum to see Shirt Kings. Or you go to the Coliseum to get gold fronts. Remember, dudes was getting fronts. Going to the Coliseum was like going to 125th Street. Do not get it twisted. Don't listen to the mass manipulation. Going to Jamaica Ave was like going to 125. New York. Dudes would go, yo, son, we going to Jamaica Ave, boom. Now, dudes that knew about Queens, a lot of dudes had family in Queens. So that's how they got to see it in real time. You had a cousin, a brother. You got to see it in real time. Like I told you, the furthest a lot of dudes went in Queens was Astoria Projects, Ravenswood, the beginning. 2 different worlds. It was 2 different worlds we're speaking about. Queensbridge was totally different from South Jamaica. You know what I'm saying? And they built something. And then they kill a cop, right? When they killed this cop, it's all in the newspaper. They talking about all these drug blocks and all these blocks. And it's like, yo, these dudes is crazy. They was getting that much money? Now, mind you, we're speaking about the first generation of Ready Rock heads. You know what I'm saying? The first generation. So now they're getting dudes that got some money. They're spending it all. The prices are, I don't even think the prices are cheaper in Queens, to be honest with you. I think Manhattan may have had the cheapest prices. I'm pretty sure in Brooklyn, I remember when I was with my man Flipper them, they was trying to get something out of Brooklyn. These dudes are charging them like 70 a Grizzy. You know what I'm saying? 50 was the low. Like, you had to come uptown for that discount. So it was a different ball game. We talk about a different game. You talk about in Queens. So these dudes is getting these dudes a little bit of nothing for $20, $30. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Queens. You gotta keep this in mind. These guys are further northern Queens, right? Up. To me, I would call it north, up. These dudes is, so yeah, I'm pretty sure they was getting more of a bang for their buck. You know what I'm saying? The party of it, we're still talking about the party of it when it was cool to deal with Ready Rocks. You know what I'm saying? Blow Dollars Networks in the building. This was that era. This is what they came from. Wait till you see part 2 and part 3. It's going to get more in depth until when they was moving. Part 1 is very interesting. It's very, I would love to have somebody call up here and just speak about the cloth, the times. Because I'm saying, because a lot of times we allow others to speak about the time. Now, son, but boom, and it's happening is they're changing the narratives. You cannot say hip hop in the streets, it's not one of the same, man. See, LL was blown away. He was at that party. Now, the first time I went to Jamaica, Queens, and I realized my man brought me out there, and it was pre-Prince getting snatched up. And, Jamaica, Southern Boulevard looked like 42nd Street. You know what I'm saying? Something. Like, that was amazing to me. Like, yo, son, this is like, but they hear how dudes had side blocks. Home base was Baisley, but dudes had side blocks. Come on, man. So when you hear them say they made $200,000 a day, you gotta be like, yo, son, these dudes was only making $200,000 a day. That's a mind of young CEOs. Young CEOs. $200,000 a day off of Ready Rock. I can't say the actual word, but you'll know what it is. Ready Rock. You had police, but he wasn't so tactical. Then you have a guy who, for some strange reason, wants to prove a point to it. I don't know what was in Pappy's head. But even the fools that jumped out the window to do it, like, why did y'all even jump out the window to do it? They go do it, and it changed the drug war in America. George Bush brought the war against the Contras, the war with the Contras, to America, at the more tactical. We watched it every day. We laughed. Remember, we was laughing. Remember the show Cops? We would laugh. Yo, look at them chasing them, kicking the doors, and that was all entertaining. Until Pataki came in and Giuliani, and then the game changed. Wait a minute. This ain't so funny no more. I thought I could get probation again. They talking about it 2 to 6. The game changed, remember? We sit and watch Cops, remember? Bad boy, what you gonna do? Remember, we would watch these shows. And then they kill a cop. They were like, yo. Now, I know a lot of dudes that was running around with the preem team that was getting money. Some of their stories is like, yo, it wasn't, see, it was, we just got money. We wasn't trying to, we didn't want police attention. So I'm like, how the hell was y'all able to do 30,000 on these blocks? On residential blocks. You know what I'm saying? These are residential blocks. To be correct, to be well versed here. He said, Zeke, because we wasn't doing nothing, that called for the police to come. We wasn't beating up on customers. Grandmothers wasn't getting any bags snatched. We actually protected the block because this is a place of business. If you violate the block, we got to put hands on you because you're going to bring heat to the block. So grandma's safe, just like the mafia. Mob neighborhoods are safe because they got all type of underworld crime things going on. We can't afford the feds to come over here. So before you kick somebody door in, we are just going to protect our neighborhood. So this is how these guys was going to have multiple shootouts every other day. People wasn't dying. Because all that was bad for business. One thing about my era that I remember, right? Blue and whites, we didn't care about them. But they'll jump out on you sometimes. Sweet vans, they thirst buckets, lead a block. Because they might just jump out. You don't want to get caught with you don't want to deal with them. But there was a time when they didn't really know what Ready Rock was. And they would just let you go. Get out of here, stomp on it. And then they put, then of course, through informants in the streets, that's such mixed with this. Boom. But there wasn't a law for that mixed compound. In the penal laws they have for PCP, because that was a bad drug, not just the water, but the crystal, the stuff the hippies were sniffing on, the stuff that you could get from Central Park with acids and meth tabs and all that in the Rose Garden. Don't ask me how I know about that. I just know. You know what I'm saying? But it's in the Rose Garden in Central Park. You know what I'm saying? The Strawberry Garden. They call that stuff. Where John Lennon got shot at in that little area. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace, John Lennon. He didn't get shot in the park, but that zone where all the hippies hang out at, you get the chocolate tie, the mescalines, the acid, all the Caucasian drugs. You know what I'm saying? So they had rules for that for the PCP and so much the cocaine and the heroin. Then they had to get reversed and changing a little law when it came to that. You know what I'm saying? That be shout out to school. Yup, it's facts. I like that. Shout out to Fox and something, Chiba, Preem, Pee Wee, Lifer, Hustlers, RIP, X, Tooch, Ike, 118th West. You know what I'm saying? Facts, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to everything on 118th and something Boulevard, you heard? That's what it was. Dudes just keep boom. Now, mind you, this is the growing stages. Now, something that they also said in the documentary was, like, New Jack City, Jack they style, and we can say, like, they ran Baisley and side blocks like that. I mean, because there's no way that these guys is coming to the infamous fever. These guys from Queens with big chains on, big gazelles on, in the era of renegades in New York City, and nothing was happening to these guys in Queens. So these guys was in tune with the in tune back then. Like I'm telling you again, this is not, you can't get any more realer than this. To have gazelles on, a sheepskin, and a chain on your neck, and you ain't get robbed, there was something official about you. Anybody could get robbed though, but something was official about you. Not anybody could just run up on you to my yo son, you know what it is. And this is the era before dudes went around with Uzis and all this, Uzis and Tech 9s. So dude might have had a 32 or 38 or 4.5. You know what I'm saying? No, a deuce. A ram, a dude will stab you for anything else. So your reputation meant a lot. Your reputation meant a lot of who you was. Like I ain't messing with Ralph Lowe. I ain't got time to play because I run up on him and try to take his chain, he gonna kill me. That's when the wolves are going to 1-800, and I used to say the shout to Rudy Lowe's. These dudes know the cloth. That's why I enjoy watching the documentaries. We're speaking about the cloth. Now, I'm going to put my number up for any of you guys who've seen the documentary. Well, this is what he says. Okay, let me go back to what Eric Adams was talking about. Eric Adams, who was a 15-year-old growing up in Jamaica, Queens, was arrested for trespassing in the apartment of a go-go dancer, a stripper. You know what I'm saying? Like, you see, well versed. You know what I'm saying? Go-go dancer, bro, stripper, man. You know what I'm saying? Who owed money to my small little crew, believes that those same street skills can take you from drug dealing to corporate deal making. You can go in the system and use those same abilities that you made to be a street corner CEO to be a CEO at anywhere you are, he says. It might seem surprising to see Adams appear alongside Queens rap legend L. Cool J, Murder Inc.'s Honcho Irv Gotti, and the Supreme Team co-directed Nas Jones in this docu-series, which was produced by Mass Appeal as part of the Hip Hop 50 initiative. But in telling the story of the gang that was highly influential on the hip-hop style and culture, even loosely inspired the 1991 hit film New Jack City, co-director Peter J. Scaletta says that Adams brought so many angles to the project. He was really kind of a wealth of information, insight, and could speak to the law enforcement side, to the Queens community side, to New York black community side, to so many parts of it. Scaletta says to the Post, as a kid growing up in that era, he touches the story in so many ways. So, Eric Adams being in the documentary, that's good. He's speaking about the cloth. The mayor of New York City speaking about drug dealers. You know what I'm saying? Before the era. These guys wasn't foolish. They just wasn't guys who spent the yard all day talking gang shit. These guys spoke about being bosses, like just like something that they said, right? It sort of touched me. He said that they wasn't watching The Godfather. They wasn't watching Scarface. They was watching The Godfather. So that was like their routine. That was educating them on the loyalties and the respect. Whatever came with the streets was that. He was like, yo, we was watching the Adada and they used to watch The Godfather. Me and my crew used to listen to Cool G rap. Yo, peace, salute. We used to listen to Cool G rap, some of us. We used to sit in the crib and listen to Road to Riches. Watch that video all day. Like that was like an inspiration to us. Like, yo, sitting on the block selling, like that was one of the songs that took us someplace else. Shout out to the PT 131 crew. East Harlem, not 131st Street, that's the number crew. Used to write with ACA 131 PT. The shout out to the writers on the East Side, you know what I'm saying? Yo, follow, subscribe to a guy named RD357. He's from my neighborhood with the Upper East Side. But shout out to RD and D3 and all of them, you know what I'm saying? D57 crew. The thing that's you know what I'm saying? So there, everybody had their inspirations. And as crazy as it sounds, you definitely can't forget about the West Side, the 105th Street crew, 107, you know what I'm saying, PTC. You can't forget about the West Side, definitely can't forget about the West. The beginning of the era, man. Like we were still normal people. Dudes just wanted to live a lifestyle. They created a lifestyle. The difference between them, his like Father You and that generation was, they was really hustling to get out the hood. They was really hustling to own a store. Like these are the conversations that dudes would have. Yo, God, why you Yo, I'm trying to buy a store. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to invest in stock. I'm trying to go back to school and take this money and do this. It wasn't so much as buy a car and buy another car and buy another car. Y'all allowed street talk confuse a lot of y'all in the game. A lot of you guys. Y'all speak about a guy who had 20 cars but didn't own a building. But how about Tony Mickens? He owned a whole block that he probably still owns to this day if the feds ain't snatching. We don't know what Fat Cat bought. We don't know what Fat Cat owned on the low. We don't know what Supreme May owned on the low. We don't know, you know what I'm saying? But this is what dudes is doing. Dudes is buying houses. Dudes is investing in construction companies. Dudes is, you know what I'm saying? But we only glorify somebody who got 10 cars. Yo, he was getting money because he had the new BM and he switched up with the M3. He had the range. Yeah, that wasn't what dudes was hustling for. That wasn't what dudes was hustling for. Tommy Mickens is Tommy Mickens owned the block. You know what I'm saying? A grocery store. Fat Cat owned property. Didn't he get on a game room in a store, in a building, no type? Dudes was trying to own. Because that was the American dream. If they're not going to give it to me, I'm going to take it. Now, how you took it was with them street corners. The feds wasn't chasing you down for the 10,000. If you knew somebody who had to play with a number game, you could buy a car to buy a house. Like, why spend $50,000 on a car when I could buy 2 parcels? A lot of those houses that dudes was buying, yo, son, all them hustlers wasn't stupid. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them dudes wasn't stupid. Yeah, you got a portion of South Jamaica that's twisted a little bit, but you got a portion of South Jamaica that's nice. You know what I'm saying? Prime real estate. Because those wasn't the conversations. You couldn't be dumb. That was one thing about being God body back then. Because that's what we grew up under the guards. Even if you wasn't God body, because we didn't even respect the black Muslim niggas. Because a lot of black Muslim niggas was like dope fiends that went to jail, came home, and then they throw the kufi, the garbage can, and go sniffing that bag. Not all of them, but a lot of them. So we didn't follow them niggas because we didn't follow dope fiends. That's just how that game went. My generation. We ain't go, yo, he sniffed dope. That's my man. We shunned that. Like certain things we shunned. But then get the guards. And the guards will start building with us and they'll butter it out. Yo, God, get into your head. Make you think about something else. Make you pick a book up. Yo, God, you bugging, son. You talking about, because we always used to say what we can't do because y'all don't know what we see in front of us. Just like Prince said. When you seen a black man get killed by a cop and he beats the case because it's an all-white jury in New York State, you begin to believe. I found something out yesterday. There was an African-American construction company that was getting on type of when I built Happy Jamaica, Queens. I think the Dickinson Company, never heard of them though. Nobody glorifies this African-American company that was around in the 70s and 80s, and probably the 60s in South Jamaica, Queens, that was doing an excavation. This is in the documentary. We keep talking about Alpo. Why? Why we have this Alpo conversation? What did those OGs have to do with the documentary? Because Prince said, yo, what brought him to the streets was the police killed the young boy that was 10 years old. He didn't know the young boy, but he felt like, yo, that's crazy. If the cop killed him, he's going to get away with this because he's white. And he was rioting in South Jamaica, Queens. And they used their trucks to block off traffic so the police can't come. That's revolution for you. Black power. That's revolution for you. They blocked off the streets with their trucks so the police can't come. So dudes can, you know what I'm saying? At a time when they're taking pictures with major projects going on in Jamaica, Queens, with borough presidents, mayors, governors, CEOs. They got the machines. We're gonna do the groundwork, the excavation. This is history right here that we don't speak about. Well versed, Nas. That was well versed. Because what did it have to do with the film? Had a lot to do with it. Because it played a part that affected Prince's life that he said what geared him towards the streets of New York. So it wasn't Prince, it wasn't Preem, it wasn't Green Born, it wasn't Zulu Nation, it wasn't Russell Simmons, it was that situation. Black Cuddy was popping. be well versed in the times, man. Because you want to know why? You want to know why we say our war events? Because we don't have these conversations. We only speak about what we think is relevant. We never say the whole story. We always say where half the story is or where we can fit ourselves in. So we just make it look like anything that had power in the hood was drug dealers. No. Nah, because a lot of us would see deaf, dumb, and blind. What would the guard say? Yo, you're deaf, dumb, and blind. If you told me that there was an African-American company that was doing major projects in New York City, I would have told you no. Buggy, that ain't gonna happen. That's the white man and Italians. I just learned something. I'm 48 years old and just learned that it was a powerful African-American company that was doing construction in the city that was getting city contracts. The Dickinson, it's in the Nas documentary, part 1. Well versed. At a time when being a black man to get a job was hard. So what they did, they created their own business. Shout out to the Dickinson, bro. I forgot the name of the company. I think whatever that company is. Shout out to Akbar. Dudes that was getting dudes through the door. In an industry that was predominantly 80% Caucasian. 95% Caucasian, to be honest. See, the narrative that's being painted. Oh, the African Americans, the only way that they was able to do this was the coalition. Like, nobody owned their own companies. Big or small. But that's another story, man. Watch the Doccu cities. That's so it wasn't just about the block. Everybody I want to see the block. It was about what led up to the block. They brought the old guard out. I was like, yo. He showed a time when they had the picture of the father-in-law, the guard. These dudes, like he definitely had an impression on the youth. I was like, yo, son, I was like, yo, he's really giving us what New York was, the cloth. What led to these things, man? God said we used to build with people, make you pick a book up. Green Eye Bond playing and some other kid, I think his name was Understanding. These dudes was like the three amigos with green eyes. These dudes was like, they grew up together in the sandbox. But when you hear about Green Eye Bond, oh, he had beef with Primo for Chain, he tried to set him up, oh, he had beef with this, yeah, they had their issues. But they grew up as brothers. In one of the biggest African American communities of homeowners, South Jamaica, Queens. Before the drugs, it's something to be proud of, man. In our great city, from where we from. I can't speak about St. Louis. I can't speak about Detroit. I can't speak about Mississippi. I can speak about my great city. And it's good to know that instead of me having to always give Italians the accolades for controlling the construction industry, I can honestly take pride to say that there was an African American company that was building major projects in South Jamaica, Queens, probably York College, all that. And now I can take pride in that, bro. At a time when the black men put their fists up at the Olympics and they got shunned and they was banned. Remember that? Do y'all remember that? When the brother, when they put their hand up, the three brothers, when the brothers put their at the Olympics and they got banned? Remember that? So how dare you say anywhere, why would somebody as African American go to the streets? Because you don't know what it is to be black. You would never know what it is to be black. I don't care how many black friends you have. I don't care how many black nieces and nephews you have. You would never understand what it is to be black. Never understand. You would never understand what it is to be a man of color. I'm not going to say black, a man of color. You would never, I don't care. Yo, but my best friend is, you would never understand what it is to be a black man. A man of color in America. Never understand that, man. Top of the morning, eyes top of the morning. Never understand, man. That's why when it comes to us, we have to big each other up. We ain't gotta like each other. But let's be respectable. It's not about, it's about history. History that nobody speaks about because we talk about Freeman and Princeton them. So now out of his own mouth, he said, what geared him towards the streets? Out of his mouth. Like, oh shit. Supreme said, look, my enlightened name was Supreme. I looked up to him in so many words, so that's why I am the way I was. How many dudes humble themselves to say that? So the cream that we got was because the guy that he looked up to was probably just like that. We had to have those conversations. We got to make them pick the book up, Vince. Well, man, let's pick a book up. The guards are coming in the corner and start talking about moon, stars, the earth is flat, and all this other craziness that we thought was crazy, and we'll sit back and go, yo, son bugged out. We go do some research on the shit he just talked about. It's these conversations that we're having, brother. It's what we're entertaining. If we're sitting here, if we're wasting time talking about Alpo and 30 keys with Fritz, and he ain't died 30 years later for the 30 bricks, then we're talking about either a lie or something that was just made up. You know what I'm saying? Let's start building again. Let's start building again. What happened to the building? What happened to a lot of dudes don't eat pork because the guards enlightened us. Oh, I ain't eating that swine shit no more. There's dudes that don't eat pork just because the guards educate us what's in pork. I used to love eating rib tips, rib tips falling out my mouth and all type of shit. You know, I don't even eat pork, I eat rib tips. Then the guards began to build and tell me shit about pork. And he told me one time, they said, put a piece of pork, I think, in a bag on the ground, come back a week later. And I see maggots, and they said, yo, that nigga right go, you eating that. And when I seen that, I said, I ain't eating that swine shit no more. I don't eat pork. I don't eat pork. Peace, peace, peace. Peace, King. Definitely, the Santos Says podcast. I'm going to jump in this podcast one day. We're going to do something about East Harlem fashion, about the generation and the era. And just, you know, two different generations building on fashion. So definitely get in tune with the Santos Says podcast. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get on this podcast. We're going to talk about just different generations of fashion and what the streets, hip-hop, and the club. Thank you, Nas, because that's what Nas has put together in so many words. The streets, hip-hop, and the facts. The facts. This ain't about it, because when I say brown, I'm speaking about my blacks and black and Latinos, Mexicans, Nicaraguan, anything of color. Some people get a little bit more love, but I just know a person of color. Because you got Puerto Ricans like me that get treated like shit. You know what I'm saying? Now, it's when you leave the hood, the only people that feel that way. I never seen nobody like I never said when my man's moved away like, yo, son, that's yes sir, Santo. Yes, sir, he is great to me too. What you just said right there, I never had a conversation. See, that's this hip hop thing. If Big Father you moved to Yonkers, I'm happy that he moved to Yonkers. Oh, why is son doing his thing? Invite me to the cookout. Hip hop created this. You gotta go back to the hood. Yo, you ain't real. You not back in the hood. That's not what this is about. Dudes when they go back to the hood, they go see mommy and they out. Dudes are going to corner and post up. Yo, I'm popping bottles. Yo, son, I'm at 88. Nah, dudes is in and out. Yo, son, meet me on 86. When we go, yo, we going to the, you know what I'm saying? We going out to eat. You might go to hood day, come through, breeze through. But dudes is on grown man time. You congratulate those that left the hood. Hip hop did that. We allowed Universal Records to create these narratives. We allowed Virgin Records to create these narratives that you're not street no more unless you're in the hood. Then you get these dummies that wasn't outside that sit on these on these networks. Oh, he ain't real. I got money. I still live where the guns is going off at. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't the objective. Let me tell you something. A lot of times in the streets, when you play, anything you do too long is gonna have some consequences. If you smoke Ready Rock too long, you'll have heart problems. If you shoot dope too long, you're gonna have some type of. So if you're hustling a little too long and you don't get out the game changes. What comes with the changes is death. Death for the penitentiary. Some dudes hustle so hard that they totally forget that jail's right in front of them. Now, a lot of dudes, you'd be surprised. A lot of dudes had their money and tied in with a lot of dudes. You know what I'm saying? Some dudes did, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because those conversations stopped. See, when Prince and them started getting snatched up, and it was that new generation, the new generation wanted to be like Rich and Poe and them. All we gotta do is buy cars and chains and fashions. The clock stopped. The clock stopped after the dudes that was buying things. Look at Guy Fisher. He tried to buy the Apollo. You know what I'm saying? Dudes that was buying things, that generation got pushed to the side, and it went back to because hip-hop began to own the narrative. Exactly, it was Crackino. Hip-hop began to own the narrative now. So now you have a guy who works for the Vibe magazine who's telling you what is style. Don't buy a house. To be real, you gotta have a chain on. You gotta have a car. It's not about. You know what I'm saying? This is what happens. It's not about. You see the cloth? You see the cloth? You see how we on Cloth Talk? We have more Latino stores in our communities, right? Ox stores, right? Chopped cheese or ox, we chop cheese. We have more West Indian spots, Trini spots. Blood clot, stuff clot, let me get some peas and rice. But we seem to think that that's not real, to own nothing more than a barbershop. But there are African Americans that are doing anything that nobody speaks about because we got to talk about the gangsters. And again, the conversation we let hip hop control, right? So I got a story for you guys. I made a video about a guy named Stevie Robinson that he had a little issue with the homies. The homies had an issue with him and his family. Stevie Robinson caught a Fed charge, him and his brothers. He caught a murder charge, whatever the case may be. But I'm gonna tell you something, Vince. His brothers, in the midst of all the marijuana they was selling, they was buying houses. They was God body. Peace to the gods. They was in Albany, New York. They was buying houses. So when they got caught by the feds, they own Swan Street. You might as well say they own at least 5 or 6 parcels just on Swan alone. Now me and Stevie may have had issues, back and forth words. You know what I'm saying? Me and Stevie may have had a conversation 8 months ago about something. But you know what? Stevie never told. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta give Stevie Robinson wise his props. He never told. Now back to the story. The brothers come home. Like 4 brothers caught a Fed charge. 4 brothers come home. Yo. 2 of them became politicians, bro. You know what I'm saying? 2 of them came home and became politicians. I know one definitely became one. Stevie's son is a politician. A man who did like 25 years, and in 25 years, his son did something great. His son became a local politician. This is where the story gets crazier at. The guys that caught a Fed charge for the marijuana, do you know that these guys, I think, are the first ones in Albany, New York that got a legal license to sell marijuana? You know what I'm saying? Old boy got a license from New York State. They legalized marijuana to sell in New York State. And old boy who caught a Fed charge for selling marijuana has a license to sell marijuana in New York State. Come on, bro. That's an American story right there. These guys own mad parcels. Rest in peace to his son, Turtle, the jungle junkie. Rest in peace to his son, Turtle, man. That's a story, but nobody's going to talk about the Robinson family because that's not real. That's not real. They didn't come home to go back to jail. But let's talk about a man who just rode around on his motorcycle all day for his likeness. This is our album. Let's have a conversation about album. What did he do that was great when he came home? Ride around with his likeness and took pictures with a bunch of niggas who called him rats when he was in jail? Okay, that's a waste of a conversation. Get your shit together. Again, it's who you're conversating with. We have to stop ignoring the people that's giving us senseless conversations, the jocks, the fans. We're entertaining the fans, and this is why the state of the young nigga the way the young niggas. You're not even in tune with the young nigga. I'm not even God body and I live by certain God body rules. That's crazy because the gods are, yo, Zeke, what's up? Peace to the gods. Nigga, I'm like, yo, Zeke ain't God, but I'm going to blast your mind. Yo, Zeke, out it out. What's the matter? What you doing today? You wasting your life? You going to get your life together? I'm like, dude, son, chill. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So the game changed. We began to let hip-hop flip everything around. A lot of dudes was into their business, but the ones that was into their business, we don't speak about. And that's where the problem exists at. The people that take care of their business, we don't glorify them because those are the ones that we're going to call a sucker. Right? He's a sucker, man. He was nobody. They'll find something. He was pussy. Nigga can't fight. You know what I'm saying? Yo, but in all reality, you take a 1-2 step of what son is doing, like, you have to do something. Like my cousin. My cousin ran around with the K-Slaves, the Randy Loves. He ran around with the Big Daves and the Vaughns. That's my cousin. My cousin owned a sneaker store. He did some time for a body, came home and had a sneaker store in Harlem. Some of y'all might even know my cousin, Anthony DeBose. Be right there on, I believe, be right there on, what's that? 16th, 15th Street and 7th Avenue. What's that? By Watley, the liquor store, and then Watley's on that block. My cousin be right there all the time. If y'all see him, you know what I'm saying? Now, June, you got it all wrong. I don't know. You're losing me on that one. It was mass incarceration in the 90s, so I don't know what 90s you was growing up in, good brother. But I know that even in my time, dudes was trying to own something more. Like Tone Lopez owned a house in Puerto Rico. You know what I'm saying? There's multiple dudes that I don't know where you grew up at. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? That was because the whole goal was to get out the projects. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was a mass incarceration. As you watch the documentary, it goes into the mass incarceration. It goes into that. It goes into Giuliani, and shit changed. Giuliani was going for, but the weirdest part of the story is, but it depends on who you was around. Like I said, it depends on who you was around. It's just that mass incarceration took a lot of us off the streets. You know what I mean? It's who you networking with. Somebody said that. It's who you networking with. It's who you speaking with. Like, you never found it weird that when we speak about Delancey Street, you're going to Delancey, going shopping. Who owns all that shit in Delancey Street was foreigners. So we'll spend the money. But why we can't own the spot to get the money, to get some peace? Like, y'all got rich. When somebody sold 116th Street between Park and Lex had mad stores. You know what I'm saying? So it was big when we heard about Dr. Dan. Yo, a black man owns a spot you could buy some garments from. He wasn't the only one, but those was names. It was dope to hear about Shirt Kings. Oh, a black man owns a spot. You know what I'm saying? A lot of dudes wasn't because a lot of dudes got caught up in the hip hop, and once hip hop began to control the narrative, you know, it was the fast, it was the crash. It created the crash dummy. I'm gonna tell you what other documentary you need to watch. You need to watch the Rick James documentary. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's so deep, man. That Nas documentary is serious, man. And you know, coming from a time, coming from a time like that is like, yo, it's crazy. See, this is dope on Showtime, man. Streaming now on Showtime, you know what I'm saying? It's yo, it gets real, man. And for the mayor to actually come to the documentary and speak, the head LL Cool J, the kid goes, that's what they said about Prince. After Miller Queens Village house was raided, he was sentenced to 6 concurrent life sentences plus 20 years in 1993 for drug trafficking. And though McGriff was released in 1994, he would wind up back in jail on murder for hire charges, this time for life. And while both McGriff and Miller, who are interviewed over the phone from federal prison in the Doccu cities, are still serving their life sentences, Adams believes that his own journey should inspire others doing time. Now, he came from them. He was the older generation than them. A little bit, you know what I'm saying? A guy that came from South Jamaica, Queens, made a mistake, became a cop, became sort of top cop, became a borough president. Now he's the mayor of New York City. A guy who really comes from our cloth, that came from a different cloth, but come from us. You can physically sit down and go, yo, what's up with Fat Cat? He has a Fat Cat story. He may not have been around for the millions, but he has a Fat Cat nickel story. Your mayor, you know what I'm saying? But you know what's so funny I like about this? He's not trying to hide from his past. Most now, I declined, I found Jesus, and I'm not to my past, and I'm done with the life, I'm done with the lifestyles. He gets into, he played a part to what futurely became, not played a part with, but he was a part of young CEOs. You gotta think about it, right? If you was born in 1940 or 1950 in the South, by the time you was 10, 12 years old, there was no going to school. You was on the farm. You was working on the farm. Most likely one of your parents was a sharecropper. You was working on the farm making 10 cents a week. So now you have to understand, these are probably some of the conversations that you heard when he spoke to their older uncles about escaping the South or escaping the Midwest or escaping the moon. So now you have a chance to, it's a little more independent. It is what it is. Like I said, who would have thought a party drug would have created an epidemic? I knew it was bad when I seen TVs flying over people. You go to your friend's house and the TV going, damn, this shit done got real. You know what I'm saying? Got real. When you begin to see cheese lines, but not for heroin, but for that Ready Block, that's almost like, yo, the game changed. The first 3 years of that drug was still like, they took it out the disco, they took it out from the rooftop, the discotheques and all this other stuff, and now it's in the streets. And now it's cheaper, it's a cheaper price, it's a cheaper form, and it's cheaper. You got valves on everybody park, in the parks, and all this other craziness. And I told you, all they had was lone whites, gun unit, cabs, and probably a little fake drug task force. They killed that cop, they put together TNT, more tactical, sweet vans, different type of cops. You know what I'm saying? So, Yep, it was a party drug. Yeah. That soft was a party drug. It was a party drug. So nobody seen no harm in it. You heard what Kevin Child said. You heard what he said. They killed my moms. I didn't think it was that serious because it was a party drug. It wasn't like they looked at his heroin and dudes was in PCP. Dudes looked at PCP heads like they was nutcases. So he didn't see it that way. A lot of dudes ain't like, hey, come on, man, this is a party drug. Like, this is what dudes in the club they party with. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy the Wolves woke up this morning, man. Check out that Nas Doccu series. It's very informative. It's a lot of information before our time, things that we don't speak about in our own community. Don Rico's in the building. It's a good build, man. And it's not glorifying the drug dealer. It's speaking about what led them to those, why, what was going on. Don't you see why? You're going, damn, this is why you hug the block for, because it is. Because again, you will never understand what it's like to be a black man in America. But this is not a racist tone. It's just being honest. You know what I'm saying? I grew up by the Upper East Side. Some of my best friends are Caucasian. But even they know, yo, son, there's a different privilege that you have than I have when it comes to certain things. But that's just how life goes. That's how this country was created. Yes, peace and understanding. And I understand that. See, growing up on the Upper East Side gave me that diversity I needed. I grew up basically 2 blocks on the Upper East Side. So it gave me a diversity. So I just said, grew up with black and Puerto Ricans. You know what I'm saying? I grew up with, Germans and Irish and some Italians. And I wrote graffiti and I was with the culture. So I didn't see things as black and white. Now I lived in a middle income housing complex. 4 buildings and we had 2 daycares. You know what I'm saying? And a laundromat. For 4 buildings. It's only 4. Well, my project is a part of Washington Projects, but it's up the hill. We're actually slated off. There's a bus depot, the projects, then you got the buildings, the doorman buildings across the street. My project, 4 buildings, 2 daycares. You know what that means? The kids in my housing complex were shielded from the world. But I live in the beginning of East Harlem. You go down the hill to Washington, it's crazy. The D was nuts. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man Heck. Rest in peace, Superman. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man Jimmy. Jimbo. The whole HVR crew. But that was our hip hop culture, the HVR crew. You know what I'm saying? Jimbo and Adam Torres and Raul and all of them. They was like, that's the dudes we seen that was breakdancing and making moves. They was in a book. You know what I'm saying? Superman. My man, rest in peace, David's brother. Felix. Those are the dudes you looked up. They was hip hop culture. But even when the game changed with them, Ed was one of the first dudes I seen with a big chain on his neck. He was like, Ed got a chain on his neck with some Diodors. That was fly. He was like, yo, we gotta get Diodors. Now, Sonny cooked with the Diodors too. Sonny got the Diodors. You gotta get the Diodors. That was dope. So when dudes rapped, they rapped about what was in front of them, the environment. Like I told you, I lived in the middle income projects. Most homes had 2 parents. You know what I'm saying? Most of my friends had cable. Right. Most of my friends was going to Disney. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we're going to go to Florida. School vacation. Most of my friends had Christmas and Thanksgivings and all that. Shout out to my man Jim Janito. Brother Green Eye Mike, 1530 from 1539. My man 540 from 1539. My man B Black, my man Brian from 183, the Shell Brothers. My man Kess from 1539. Projects, 4 buildings, man. 4 buildings. My man Hustler Rock. It's a rock in all of them, you know what I'm saying? The game began, the streets began to change. It just giving you I'm just giving you, for my block, 4 buildings. So just imagine South Jamaica, Queens, and middle income households. So we can honestly say we learned some things in this documentary. This is some each one teach one. Let's get back to these type of conversations sometime. Why are these young boys losing their mind for? Because they're feeding into what hip hop is now. Because now the only people that can speak about our culture are people who wasn't around our culture. That's our color that just want to speak about our culture. And you know, everybody else who think they know how to talk and speak about our culture. Because this is what the Source magazine might have been one of the realest joints, but these magazines then created these narratives that it's not real unless it comes from somebody who has a college degree. Thank you, Nas, for narrating that story. Thank you. Thank you. Because hip hop in the streets is all one. That's a fact. Nobody's talking about. That's like Coogee Rap singing Road to Riches with a blouse on, with some leather pants and some high heels on. Are you serious, man? So Coogee Rap is speak about the times. That's like the guy you hustling for got a blouse on looking like Prince with a jelly curl. This is your boss. You know what I'm saying? With mascara on. This is the guy you taking packs from. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna dress like my boss. We look like the time. You come on the block like the time. Look at that. You know what I'm saying? Like, are you serious, man? Because the hip hop that really blew was that type of hip hop. Yes, they doing a thing, yeah, because the people that narrating this hip hop thing got them thinking that they all gonna be Rick James. Yo, it works. Be rich, sniff some coke, take some downers, do some quaaludes. AZ said the wrong thing. Salute to you, Zeke. You already know the vibes. It's time to give these party people what they really want. I want to see my uncles like Silk in LA up close getting money on the stores, driving Beamers, Jags, and so on. Yeah, so you got to see that. But it's funny. It's funny. Because when you speak at LA, he just said, oh, he was getting money with Rich. You see what his nephew just said? I got to see my uncles like Silk and LA up close getting money on the stores, driving Beamers and Jags and Benzes. Out of the whole Kevin Childs story, we keep forgetting Kevin Childs owned the store. You know what I'm saying? You forget that part. Now he was just getting money. Because we began to allow people to narrate these stories. So they mix the stories up, they flip it to the side. Oh, the store don't count because they killed his mother. Rest in peace to his mom. It's like, are you serious, man? Bendito. You know what I'm saying? They say, oh, when they had buildings for $2, nobody was buying the buildings. Hard to tell. Bernie Motion's wife, Lamont's wife, his co-defendant, had bought a co-op for like $100. Of course, she's from Central Park. When she called her case, that co-op, she sold the co-op for $400,000, like $400,000. Do you think she was the only one that spent the $100 that was African American that was buying into that co-op system when they were selling those buildings for $1 or $2? And those buildings became co-op buildings? Do you think she's the only one that bought an apartment for $100? For the low, Central Park, 110th Street, the same block where Lincoln Parole was at? No. But you begin to let me narrate the story. No, the black shop messed up. No, a lot of dudes that was getting money you got some dudes that was getting money, but unheard of that did that and they low. They multi-millionaires. You know, one thing you're gonna learn with these documentaries coming out is dudes are speaking more about business. You know what's so funny, Smalls? Dudes been scamming. Even from when you have to do the credit cards on the paper. The scamming game always been here. It's just that it's more technology to it. It's more money out there to play with. Oh yeah, remember he was in Queens, and I got to see and know Bimmy and Joe, Green Eye, Prince, Seagull, just late 80s, early 90s. Got the chance to be outside and run around with these dudes. Facts. Because you was in Queens. Yo, you gotta see the documentary. The old guard was up there. I think his name was CLR. He was like the enlightener. He was like, they said he was the OG of the guards. You know what I'm saying? Victor in the building, why be better? You know what I'm saying? He definitely had the guard in the building, man. It's a great documentary. Please go see it. Please, please. Definitely for y'all that's older, that want to know what the temptation, and just and the more that you listen and you learn it, man, there was different things in different times. I grew up in the Vietnam veterans outside, Tawana Brawley, and even though some people may say that Al Sharpton clout chased in that situation, but it opened the door for him to become the voice for a lot of injustices that was going on within our to us. You know what I'm saying? I got to be alive for the Rodney King. That was amazing. I ain't gonna lie to you. That was amazing. The most amazing thing was the person who filmed that. You know what I'm saying? That was amazing. I got to be around for the OJ. I got some experience I got to see. They said all this craziness about Buffalo. I went to Buffalo the day, Juneteenth. I remember it was Juneteenth that weekend. OJ has a gun to his head, and we in the car. I remember he was in the car, and I think the Knicks, somebody was playing in the playoffs, and the TV went straight to the news. I'm like, damn, OJ. I was coming from Albany, New York. My cousin was doing a party, left the party. He was gonna go see his future wife. He was going to Buffalo. I got to see that. It was nothing but black love. Though I was shooting. Now back then, it was about the early 90s, you had Crips and all that out there in Buffalo. It was cool though. We went out there, the Juneteenth was in the park. I got to experience that in the early 90s. Juneteenth, Buffalo, New York. Shout out to my cousin Passion. There was the Knicks and Rockets, I remember. The Knicks was up. We in the car, we bugging out. We in the car. Me and my man cousin D-Not, my cousin Jeff. My cousin Jeff loved to drive. We left straight from the club to go to Juneteenth. Straight. My cousin went to the club, we came to the crib. Yo, we on our way. We packed up, we're going to Buffalo. Because Buffalo and Albany's like 5 hours away from each other. We in the car, boom. Pull up. By the time we got there, we like, damn, OJ Simpson's in the Bronco. Where was OJ going? Where was OJ going? You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. That's what they gave him that time for. They couldn't, because all the theatrics that OJ put together. Now, I'm gonna tell you something, man, not changing the subject. This is part of the time, right? Y'all know the first, 4 days of the OJ trial, I was like, they got him. They got him. This is when shows like One Life to Live was on TV. I think, yeah, One Life to Live was still on. Grandma used to watch this shit. Shout out to Grandma. Rest in peace to Grandma. Shout out to Tab. Yeah, son, like, yo, son, OJ, you losing your mind. Then, it hit Thursday, and the cop was on trial. What? Race this, he did race that, and he's a racist. And Johnny Cochran, hanging in the front. He wasn't the lead attorney in the beginning. But when they gave him I think Shapiro was the lead attorney, but it wasn't working. They brought Johnny in. Johnny brought the whole, he had the cop on the stand. It came from OJ's trial to the cop trial. The whole story got crazy. But OJ, you know his theatrics, man. It's crazy, man. That's a time experience in my life. Illinois bumpers. I got to experience that. When the police got in the wrong door, they shot. We got the chance to. Fedman. Yeah, that was the lead attorney first. I thought it was a bill. You know what I'm saying? Happy. See? It wasn't working with him at first. It wasn't working. He had to switch that around. OJ was they doing all type of shit with OJ. baby mothers, domestic violence shit. Yeah, Max, yeah, facts. That was the leading one, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't working with him at first. They had to, by Thursday, they had to do it. They had to bring the relief picture in. Come on. You know what I mean? By Friday. Oh, yeah, it was the cop. Yeah, Freeman was the cop. Yeah, Freeman was the cop. My bad. Freeman was the cop. They turned that shit into a black and white thing. But who was the lead attorney, though? Was it? I thought it was that Chappelle. One of them dudes. He had like 4 lawyers. Yeah, it was the Mark Freeman guy. They turned that shit into a race thing. It went from OJ to, yo, this cop is the racist cop, and he's da-da-da. I'm like, damn, this racist shit thing. This shit is deep. When a black man gets to call a white man racist on national TV. This shit was real. This was, I think it was on NBC, man. You know what I'm saying? Figure out what that lawyer name was, the first one before Copley took over. Copley took over and started bringing this shit to Kente. But the reason that we was on our way to Buffalo, it was breaking that shit down. And I was like, yo, you know what I'm saying? I was like, damn, man, the Knicks was up. I think it was up a little bit. By the time OJ decided to walk in the house, the Knicks was losing. You know what I'm saying? I was like, damn, son, this shit was crazy. You know, it was just one of those years. I had a chance to experience. Yeah, okay, so I was like Chappelle, yeah. Because Chappelle was fucking up. But Mark Furman, just be right. Mark Furman was the funny ass cop. Johnny Cochran took over and got a chance to tell the man on NBC or ABC, one of those news channels, this nigga's racist. Shit worked. You know what I'm saying? Shit worked. That's probably one of the most viral moments of racism. When the nigga he had the cop on the stand. Forget that this man may have killed his wife and the young boy, you know what I'm saying? If the glove don't quit, he must have quit. We had to experience that. Now I'm gonna tell you something. I don't know what it was like in corporate America. Because at that point in time, I was on somebody's street corner doing some illegal things, allegedly. So it didn't affect us because the customers, they you know, the ones that was a little lighter, they was on our type of time. Yeah, free OJ, yeah, give me my money, you know what I'm saying? But I realized those were changes in our life. Now, I'm happy you're able to help me. I am 48 years old, so you gotta help me with some of this. I'm saying, shout out to Ebedine in the building from Washington, you know what I'm saying? Now I'm gonna tell you, this is just you know what I'm saying? That shit was, yeah, I know the Kardashians was a part of that too. I think he had a squad. He had a unit. I know funny, he had the unit. He did get his freedom. I ain't gonna lie to you, he did get his freedom. He pulled some shit out. I was like, yo. I was just amazed how by Thursday it became a trial of fuck OJ. It was about the cop. You know what I'm saying? I was like, racist cop, and he did this, and he did that, and damn LAPD, and ooh, shit, this is bigger than OJ. That shit OJ's trial got bigger than OJ. You know what I'm saying? Now, another experience. The Rodney King shit. He got beat, you know what I'm saying? That was an experience in life. How about Eleanor Bumpers? Remember when he did the Eleanor Bumpers? Central Park 5, experiences in our life. You know what I'm saying? Not generational shit. What else happened that was great? Diablo, the shit in the plunger. What was that precinct in Brooklyn on Utica Ave? They did something weird to somebody too. The plunger thing, was that in Brooklyn? On Utica Ave? You know what I'm saying? That was something weird too in our generation. See, generational shit. Like, I think it was drunk and they put a plunger in. NYPD was a different type of time. I guess back then, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Yo, that was an experience. Yo, what's your jacket? What's that thing? What's your jacket? What precinct was that they put the plunger? That plunger shit was crazy. But they said those cops would be drunk in the parking lot, bugging out. I think it was the one on Utica Ave, the police station that's on Utica and Bergen. Is that the one on Utica and Bergen in Crown Heights? That's a dirty precinct. You know what I'm saying? We have this host of events that happen. How about The Zodiac killer. He was running around losing his mind. I'm gonna tell you, all these Zodiac. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm OJ. You know what I'm saying? Just shout out to Epidina. You know what I'm saying? Yo, that was crazy. The plunging thing, like these dudes, yo, police was going a little too far. You know what I'm saying? They was going too far. Like they was crossing lines. You know what I'm saying? I thought, wasn't it one on Utica? Which one was it, Mr. Warbuck? I thought it was the one on Utica. Was it Oklahoma City bombing? Yo, Mr. Warbucks, which precinct was that on? Which precinct was it? That shit was definitely in Brooklyn, though. That plunger. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was the one. What happened to the one in Utica? It was some shit with the cops drinking beer in the parking lot. Was that the one that happened in Utica or Utica Ave? Those cops did some creepy shit too. You know what I'm saying? Oklahoma City bombing. That was crazy. Remember the Goodwill games? Somebody blew that shit up in Atlanta. Yeah, one of them pieces they was sauced up. I know. I remember one on Utica Ave though. Some shit happened on Utica. They was drinking in the parking lot and all type of shit. So we had a chance to experience all this chaotic shit. Not just black, but everybody. World Trade Center, that's white, that's Caucasian issues. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Yeah, that shit was crazy. Plunge of shit. Like, yo, hold on, police know. I ain't gonna front, man. I done seen police do some wicked shit to niggas. You know what I'm saying? Oh, that's the Center Precinct? Got you. I done seen police do some wicked shit to niggas. You know what I'm saying? Remember when they had those sticks? I didn't see them fraud. I didn't see them put the mean mouths on some good dudes. So talk about that black power shit. You know, yo, I know my rights. If I hit it in the head, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh shit. Because police whole job was to scare my generation, I think. So they'll go the extra mile to scare us. You know what I'm saying? They would just go like the extra mile, like. And I like the fact that you guys, that when I'm speaking about something, you know some history. So get with your kids and talk this shit. Because you don't know what I went through. I went through some shit. Police putting plunges in niggas' asses. The fake Toronto story. OJ, you know what I'm saying? OJ alone was just one for the books. You know what I'm saying? The Knicks, I'm going to tell you something, man. I'm going to say this live. Patrick Ewing. The one time that I needed him, the one time that I actually sat down, because I'm hyperactive. I look around, I move around too much. I actually sat down and watched this basketball game. The one moment when all he had to do was dunk, bro. All you had to do was dunk. He did something that was weird with his hands. Blew it. And that's the last time I really liked the Knicks. I said, the Knicks, I hate y'all. Lorraine Barbette, see, Barbette, this is history right here. So now we're speaking about these young kids that they're training to be the new Rick James, because that sells, being the wild kid on every drug in the world, and then you die of cancer. You know what I'm saying? The infamous finger roll. Come on. The infamous joint. Look at the New York Mets. They won the World Series in like 3-4 of them went out to get high. Salute to Dallas Short. Shout out to Keith Fernandez. Some good names was missing for like 2-3 days. You know what I'm saying? That's when that shit was still 100. When it was still $100 a gram, shit was missing. Look at Lawrence Taylor. Lawrence Taylor was going to Newburgh and all the little areas, getting all the drugs in the world. This is the shit we had to go through. In the 80s, y'all know the shit that we had to go through, man. Some real shit, man. Look at the Puerto Ricans. They had to deal with Menudo for 2 summers, my nigga. Two good summers, the Boricuas had to deal with the Menudos. Those are the only 2 summers I seen that the Puerto Ricans wasn't fucking with the Dominicans. There was no more Dominican jokes because the Dominicans had the jokes this time when Menudo was out. Shout out to my Boricuas, so y'all niggas know it's true. But when they popped off, they was like the Zulu nation of Latin music. You know what I'm saying? Ricky Martin, you know what I mean? So it sort of changed the game. It was a culture shock to Puerto Ricans. You know what I'm saying? It was a culture shock to them, believe it or not. It was an ill culture shock. Listen, I've seen it. Okay, see, Mr. Warbucks? This is what was going on. I'm just here to grace y'all with this. Speak to your kids about this historical fact. Make them just pick a book. Make them Google something. Dad, you lying. Google is Dow Shorty was smoking crack, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? Because they think we lying because they think we ain't got no money. Oh, you just hating granddad. All right. You know what I'm saying? Google. Oh, shit. Dow Goodness. You smoking krills, yeah. Lawrence Taylor was the illest, though. But one of the illest was Michael Ray Richardson for the Nets. Because when that crack shit first blew, he was missing games. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't even coming to the basketball games. Like, he was probably on 103rd or some shit like that. Now, I'm going to tell you this, me being who I am. Those 2 summers, Puerto Rico, you gotta admit this, Boricuas. When Nudo came out, y'all niggas was hurt. Before that, it was Joseph the Dominicans. Ha ha, he, blocked the nose, no socks, purple shirts, green pants, you know, all that other funny shit. Shit that was actually funny, but it was really funny. I'm gonna tell you something. Willie Woo said Bobby Brown. I believe that. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man Willie Woo. You know what I'm saying? I would tell you, we live by the Upper East Side. We lived in the beginning of the district of, you lived in the beginning, man. Shout out to Willie Woo, my man Scar and all that. Scar, TWB, rest in peace, shop, TBL. See? Sugar Ray Richardson, you know what I'm saying? Sugar Ray Richardson, see? Basketball player, bro. Nobody will believe you. So, this shit that these young niggas is doing, niggas is doing, just with a different narcotic. Same shit. Same shit. Am I right? So we have to tell your kids, listen, man, you get to the bag, you be smart. Because one thing with this country, in this country, you're not doing nothing without no paperwork. You're not gonna own a business and not pay taxes and be considered a real company. You know what I'm saying? That's not how it works. You know what I'm saying? Paperwork, real verse. Don't let nobody tell you about your community that's not from your community when you know the truth. And that's all it is, you know what I'm saying? And it goes back into the Nas documentary. It goes back into the Bimmies, into the Pleams. It started from the beginning. They came from some type of revolutionary times. But they came from a middle income community. So I like that. First and foremost, South Jamaica, Queens is a place of homeowners, middle income. I like that. That's a great introduction. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah. So that being said, man, I definitely appreciate y'all. I'm happy y'all pulled up. I just check the documentary out, man. And it brings back to something, you know, whatever, how old you are, your times, man. Kick it with some intelligent people about some intelligent shit, you know what I'm saying? We used to think, what I'm trying to get into is that we used to think you couldn't do things because people would show us that you could do it. You understand what I'm saying? So now instead of just hustling to buy a car, now you think like, I can buy my mom's a house. I gotta do it like this. You begin to learn shit. Can I buy stock? Can I do this? You got a lot of dudes that's really not. Look at Chango. Chango did like 25 years. I think he owned like 4 or 5 pieces of property. Guy that came from the same street came through, the YTC. Did his time, came home, had a plan. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. We stop having a plan. So now what happens with this new hip hop, they're allowing the hip hop algorithm to control our kids. Yeah, you do what you do to get on, but then you make a good song, right? What was inspiring about Cream? Was it Raekwon's verse or was it Inspector Deck's verse? Raekwon's verse really did touch a lot of dudes that was caught up in that era, right? It was good, maintaining. You had Inspector Deck that he was on 2 or 3 strikes, he said. So hip hop saved his life. You know what I'm saying? He was on his 2nd or 3rd strike. But the funny part about Cream was they did the song, they just didn't have a melody, right? And they got the melody from a guy who wrote Method Man from jail. His man, he wrote Cream. When I come home, cashews, everything around me. And he said Cream. And he said he went to the studio, cashews, everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar bill, y'all. Boom, that song went viral. Next thing we know, they're performing on the City Hall show. Raekwon was in the studio rapping for free, chasing a dream, and it worked. Yeah, in the first album, he probably didn't get no money with the first album when he first got signed. But boom, he got his own record deal. Look at it right now. Classic, you know what I'm saying? So with that being said, man, it's early in the morning. I'm happy I tapped in. Please watch the documentary. If you're in St. Louis, Missouri, they're coming up here in August. Y'all check the date, Nas and Wu-Tang Clan. I'm gonna be in the building. It'll be 100 degrees outside. Me and your wife will be in the building. Exactly. A lot of us been through that. Yeah. A lot of us have to make man decisions at 18 years old. I take that for I take the F. The felony, not the felony. Give me that felony. Knowing that when they tell you what you lose, right to vote, this, that, and third. We had to make those decisions. Some of us without our parents. Fuck that. 2 to 6, let me get that shit. We had to make those decisions. The ones that didn't have paid lawyers. So with that being said, find some legal shit to do. Tomorrow morning I'm having some shit. Yes. Yep, bing, yep. You know what I'm saying? Yes. Watch it. It's something that it's gonna touch you because it's not just about the hustling. It breaks down the elements, pieces of gods. If you God body, you definitely watch this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah? Just watching this, bro. Like, damn. He said, nah, we hustled on the same block. See? I was like, damn, son, that's real. Yo, we hustled on the same block. That's how we boom. I'm like, yep, it was like Prince's little brother. I like seeing Green Eye Born up there, though, you know what I'm saying? But I was just surprised to see that they had Robo Just. But I'm not surprised because Robo Just brother, if you know and I know, he be all through there all the time. Every time you go to the south side, you see him between Baisley, and he's comfortable. From Baisley to Suffolk. Definitely shout out to everybody on Suffolk and Fox, the old Big Soul movement, the Cuzzo Hood, Chopper, H Money Bags. You know what I'm saying? And that's what build is about. We're building. You see how we're building? This is what the God is called building. That's what I said. Yeah, exactly. Yep. They have him in the documentary. That was crazy. He had it, right? He said 2 blocks from me. Yeah. So it's definitely one for the books, and I appreciate y'all. Definitely shout out to Queens, man. He never do the judges in there. They never knew that, man. You know what I'm saying? He was their neighbor. And he was hanging high. Now he's walking around with that stick all day. When he was a federal prosecutor, you know what I'm saying? He sent some of the best to jail. You see, I think he has, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? They wanted to kill him. But he even graced the documentary. That's you know, he put the elements in the documentary. Like, you can't beat this one. Like, yo, he put the elements in there. And as you hear Prince speak, you're hearing like, damn, so that's why that happened. Oh, that's what happened. So you really wasn't beefing with son like that. Oh, please see the documentary. It's great. Yep, they should. You know what he said? Y'all go to the barber shop, and I'll sit by the door with my gun on me. So he was outside. He wasn't even hiding from these niggas. You know what I'm saying? That's what he said. But I'd rather y'all see it, man. The judges tell you how it is. Like, yo, son, it was 2 blocks down. You know what I'm saying?
Are you going to do a live of each episode?
Huh?
Are you going to do a live of each episode?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm going to do one for each episode. So when I see part 2, I'm going to do a part 2. I'm also going to do a part 3. You know what I'm saying? We're doing it for the people, for the culture, man. It's what we think, what y'all think. I like the fact, see, Glaze did all that screaming, and they had his picture in the documentary. You know what I'm saying? Because he's a part of what Fat Cat was doing. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's millions of people are gonna watch the documentary. That's great. I think it's great that how they broke it down. What was going on in South Jamaica? I never knew that there was an African American company. I just swear to God, I never knew that. But they was still with the people. Wow, there was a riot over that situation with the young boy who got shot. They held the block down. They put their trucks up. That's power. You don't work for nobody. Like, man, they ain't coming in here like that. That's power, bro. It might have affected them with a little business. Yep, there it is. LB Griffin Construction. Thank you. Thank you for putting that in the goddamn chat. They need to be putting lemonade raps on some of these dudes. You know what I'm saying? And they said they built up a lot of South Jamaica. Now, according to other people swear Trump's father did it. You know what I'm saying? Yep. According to some, it was Trump's father and them other guys. Nah. They said they built half of South Jamaica, Jamaica Avenue. They said that Jamaica Avenue, they did a lot of construction over there. Give a shout to the LB Griffin crew. You know what I'm saying? So you learn a lot, man. So now when somebody said that you couldn't do something because you was black, look hard to tell. So you could do anything, man. It's those conversations, man. So with that being said, man, I definitely with that being said, I definitely, it's definitely good for the culture, it's good for the people. And I'm gonna do another one on this topic, you know what I'm saying? I'm happy Ed pulled up, everybody pulled up, many things we speaking about, man. I got to check out the content. My other content is moving fast. Shout out to the China Brim movement, though, because it just hit on Tip Top, and people are going back to the content I did. That was funny, because the content I did that day, I actually was on the north side of St. Louis. You know what I'm saying? So I'm outside in one of the worst parts of the city of St. Louis, which is called North City. I was actually outside at my other job. I was not milling around. So that being said, y'all have a blessed day. I'm happy I got y'all up for some of these juices. You heard? Tyler Dean was in the building. Mikey Blow is in the building. Everybody in the building. Warbucks in the building. We had to speak about. We grew up with some shit too. Do not get it twisted. Tell you, know what I'm saying? The real Royal was popping. We grew up with all this shit. We had the bumpers. We even had Arsenio Hall when they took Arsenio Hall. Remember that? There's a lot I see what's going on. Yeah, I'm watching it. I watched part 1 of it. I'm gonna watch part 2 and break down what I see from there. You know what I'm saying? But one thing I get from them is that those guys are CEOs, and I see that there's a culture of crew, gang, that has some type of loyalty when it came to certain things. Seeing the mayor speak, Yusuf Hawkins, remember? You can't forget about Yusuf Hawkins. The Crown Heights riots, remember? Yo, they gave that dude 25 years. He beat the state case, but they got locked up again down south. They gave him like 20 years for like violating the human rights. Mikey B's in the building. Mikey B, shout out to Queens. Mikey B from Queens. Shout out to Mikey. We locked in the building. Eleanor Bumpers. I remember, yo, that was crazy. Son beat the state case, went down south. They locked him up for the Crown Heights riots. I was locked up for that too. A couple of good times. I could have got a couple of good TVs, but I was just nowhere around. Salute, bro. Salute. You know what I'm saying? So we grew up under some conditions, man. You know what I mean? So, when we speak upon the streets, and I appreciate that, Mikey. I appreciate that. I'm gonna come on the show one day, man. Because I got locked up by TNT, so I have a story to tell about mass incarceration and my feelings when I first got locked up, because that's what came from the shit that we're talking about with the Supreme Team. When TNT began to snatch people up, that was our generation now. We outside. These are the type of cops that were snatching us up. Not just here in New York City, but Albany, New York, you had Sean Penn in them that was more tactical. They had dirty ways of sending you to jail for 2 to 6s and 1 to 3s. They created a program called Shock because they knew they were about to do a bum rush on this drug trade. This is how you crazy. They created Shock. I got you. Hell yeah. I remember when Shock first opened up. So that's how you got the quick flip. They created at least 1 million felons because of Shock. You got locked up, they offer you 1 to 3, non-violent, we offer you Shock, you're home in 6 months. Give me that. Boom. That's just that alone. We should have somebody fight for that for us. How many people was forced to take the 1 to 3 because they could get home in 6 months, non-violent crime, and all you had to do was jumping jacks and some push-ups? We ain't know. You had dudes that was 17 years old taking a 1 to 3. They didn't know that what you couldn't do after. You know what I'm saying? Hell yeah, the dudes are scared to go to prison. Definitely. Mikey B says peace in the chat. You didn't know. I got caught in that whole mass incarceration. Oh God! And I remember seeing it progress. I remember dudes catching cells and they come home, and you only went to jail for guns or robberies or any type of violence. Then you started seeing dudes. He catch a crack cell and you don't see him for 2 summers. You know what I'm saying? Oh, sure, son that. My man Kess, listen, Kess had some wild cases. A couple of robberies here, some other shit, another robbery. We ain't seen him for like 5 summers. He caught a 5 flat before he was doing flat beds. Like, we ain't seen him for 5 summers. Like, shit. Hey, Kess, that you still up north? You know what I'm saying? This is how crazy it was. But since you wasn't, to be from oppressed culture, sometimes you blind yourself with things that'll make you happy. That's not reality. Some people may believe hustling and being fresh and fly and take you out your reality, but there's consequences to this hustling. Definitely if you're on the front line. So when you take yourself out this reality, the consequences hit you a little faster. Because we spoke about it. O.J. Simpson, Yusuf Hawkins, Crown Heights riots, you know what I'm saying? O.J., the finger roll. The finger roll got anything to do with this, but the finger roll, of course. Anytime an African American did something that was good, 2 weeks later he was a drug addict. Darryl Strawberry. So okay, I want to be a baseball player because he's smoking crack. Dwight Gooding smoking crack. Lawrence Taylor smoking crack. So okay, anytime I play for sports shit, these niggas is doing drugs. Okay, so now what lane we gonna pick? We go to these schools where they're not teaching us marketing. You're not teaching us stock, financial. So now we're going to these high schools unless you got some money, unless you go to Bayside High some goddamn where, or Edison. You just get an education. So of course your mind, you're not going to see nothing past nothing. It's not about moving out the hood. Okay, my uncle got a job, he's a doctor, he moved out the hood. Public housing, we're not meant to stay there. Public housing was meant to be temporary for the soldiers, for the families. My grandmother was one of the first families that moved into Taft Projects, and most likely got in there because my grandfather fought in the Korean War. Now, when she moved into Taft Projects, it was working class. But people will never tell you that. They talk about the bad times in these projects. Most of these housing complexes was working class. But it wasn't meant for people to stay. But then there's a recession. There's no jobs. They're picking and choosing who can do what. So, again, when you speak about why we ain't do this and do that, let's talk about Diablo, the plunger. Why you can't, boom. David Dinkins was what we had, but then they found some type of, he lost out because of the Crown House riots. I guess he didn't perform right. We're not gonna talk about Ed Koch, you know what I'm saying? Who allowed half the Bronx to get burnt down. But the biggest thing he did was MTA. You know, when the strike walked across the bridge, he came. You know what I'm saying? We was there. We remember that. My father was a bus driver. He lived in Queens. Shout out to Queens. You know what I'm saying? So these are conversations that's why we can't beat ourselves up, because we was already backed against the wall. Like I told you, most of our most famous killers that y'all talk about come from good homes. You know what I'm saying? But y'all seen the pain your parents went through. The conversations, Whitey Bucket, this and the third, and this and the third, my boss. Y'all heard that at the dinner table. Yeah, so what I'm trying to say, man, it was wild. Facts. So it's all about us, the people, man. It just depends on where you lived at, what zip code, where you were from, man. But in 2022, we are all people, man. Yeah. He's telling his story. He come from this. And what he come from is like the OGs of what that turned out to be. He was a 7 Crown. They had the OG for the 7 Crowns up there. Can't beat that, bro. You know what I'm saying? Niggas from New York telling the New York story. Yeah, Fox. All through that Fox shit, they all come from that side. Look, Eddie Murphy's grandmother lived around there too. At Uncle J Farmers Boulevard. Mikey B territory, North Side. Mike Geronimo and shout out to Royal Flush, even though he's from Flush in the Corona, you know what I'm saying? But he's representing Queens. That was inspiring, bro. Lost Boys. So, with that being said, I'm gonna make my rounds today. I told you I got 2 more episodes. Can y'all please watch this documentary? It's great. There's a lot of history in it, man. I just learned about the L.B. Griffin construction company. I don't know why rappers ain't putting them in the songs. It's an African American pride, man. Now it feels good to know that at least we say South Jamaica, North Side, and all that together has the largest population of African American homeowners in this country. That's real. And just know that before the Ready Rock epidemic, that the white picket fences that they show us, we had that too. But our way. And it wasn't just the mayhem part, the destructive part that they show. That's why they always show Harlem for, because Harlem was fucked up. That's why they love showing Harlem. Oh, Harlem, because it's fucked up. Poor people, abandoned buildings. Yeah, you're not going to show at the same time as a bunch of influence African Americans. They're not gonna do that. That's not how the system works. You gotta keep them mentally down. Until you come to Queens and be like, oh, just go. So it's your job as a parent to take your kids out of those circles on these field trips to other communities, letting them see people of us in a good light. Your favorite rapper can't do that, man. You know what I'm saying? You gotta take them field trips. Where we going, Dad? We going over here. Boom. Oh shit, I never thought a black man could own a store. Okay, yeah. I never knew a black man could own a construction company. What years was this? Wow. You know what I'm saying? That's a long run from owning a construction company, knowing that they got cousins and brothers that's in the South that at that point in time was probably still sharecroppers. You know what I'm saying? Working for the law. So with that being said, man, shout out to Queens, man. Shout out to the GM family. Shout out to Michael Beaver pulling up. Man, Marley Marr for pulling up. Everybody for pulling up. Mr. Warboy's pulling up. We had a great show today, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to do part 2. I wasn't going to even go this long, but it's just a conversation. Let's give people let's give the proper. Instead of saying he bought cars and shirts, now he owns a store. Oh, that supersedes that. You know what I'm saying? Ownership. That being said, man, shout out to Ed Medina, Chapia, he out there somewhere. My favorite Puerto Rican, 100th Street. Shout out to the El Barrio, East Harlem, Washington Projects, Lexington Projects, rest in peace, Roswell. You know what I'm saying? In that order. If you're in East Harlem, go check out my man, the Super Arrivals on 110th Street, 2nd Avenue. Go in there and say Z Black sent you. He gonna give you a discount. Just tell him I sent you. Action Nelson, yo, now you know Z Black, boom. He might give you a discount. I'm not too sure. Just tell him I sent you. Then my other mans, they own a liquor store on Eastern Parkway. It's a liquor store African American owned. Go check that out. You know what I'm saying? My man Brooklyn Nice. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give you the address now. Go in there and be like, yo, Z Black's with you, but you gotta ask for ice though. You know what I'm saying? You gotta ask for ice. Hold on a second. Alright. You gotta ask it like, you know what I'm saying? Hold on. He got the address up here. He put the address up here the other day. The address is, he got a spot called Trendy Exotics. It's on 1547 Fulton Street in Brooklyn. If you're in Brooklyn, it's at Trendy Exotics. See what I'm saying? Nice and slow. Trendy Exotics. It's at 1547 Fulton Street, Brooklyn, New York. I guess they have cannabis things and things of that nature there. You know what I'm saying? Some legal shit. It's called Trendy Exotics. You go in there, and Brooklyn Nights is in there. Go Zeke Black sent me to you. It's just showing love. You know what I'm saying? I do this for this is spam. You know what I'm saying? And they got a liquor store, the Hill Wine and Liquor. It's on the Hill Wine and Liquor. It's on. Oh, it's a nice block. Look at it. The Hill Wine and Liquor. That's the Hill Wine and Liquor. Yeah, the trendy spots. Yeah, go tell them, when you see Brooklyn Nights, tell them Z Black sent you, you know what I'm saying? That's Trendy Exotics. That's the famo, that's fam. I know him over 20 years, you heard? The Hill Wine and Liquor, what street is it on? It's at 1547 Eastern Parkway, New York. This is it right here. If you're by there, this is the location in Eastern Parkway, New York. That's the famo. You know what I'm saying? It's the famo, the Brooklyn family. You know what I'm saying? I tell you, Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? So, that being said, man, you know, just showing unconditional love. Go to Trent, you know what I'm saying? It says Z Black sent you. You got to see Ice. Everybody's probably know me there, but him, You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? Exclusive arrivals. Sneakerheads, all you sneakerheads. You know what I'm saying? It's black owned liquor store though. See, it's a black owned, it's an African American owned liquor store. We got, you know what I'm saying? We coming up, having these conversations. Black owned liquor store. Cameron owns a liquor store, doesn't he? Shout out to Killer Cam. With that being said, man, I appreciate y'all. Have a good one. Uncle Charlie popped up. Some dudes on the 18th and something pulled up in the chat today. Salute to Sev. The West. Salute to Uncle Charlie, OG Charlie. Your WAP was popping from Bricks. 118th something Boulevard. Bing, get at me. My name Dave Bing, get at me. 118th. You know what I'm saying? So, we here, party people. We here, man. You know what I'm saying? With that being said, man, let's hold it down. Just hold it down. See Black is in the building. Check it out. Don't forget to follow my man Push That Knife in Clubhouse. Unstricted Mentality in Clubhouse. Have a blessed day. With that being said, peace.